Good evening, everyone, from the Office Lounge in Toms River. Welcome to the Varsity Link Coaches Corner. Kevin Williams, Bob Batters, and Ed Sarluca talking Shore Conference high school football for the next hour or so. Tonight we focus in on the Toms River North Mariners. We'll be talking with their head coach, Dave Oswitz, and a couple of their outstanding players, Ty Kazanowski and Micah Ford. We'll do that a little bit later on. But delighted that you could join us and happy to be back at the office with a nice crowd on hand as usual. Whether we were here or not, there'd be a nice crowd on hand because there always is at the office. But we're happy to be here and talk football as we sort of get to that middle point of the season in terms of the schedule. And we might even later on, just a gander for a second or two, talk about the playoffs.
It is time.
Coaches don't like to talk about the playoffs, but we like to talk about the playoffs. But as we open, and we always like to look at last week's games, the ones that stood out. Bob, and I always yield to you on this. But what was special, if anything, about last weekend?
Well, in general, we had. We're going into week 5, so we've played a good amount of division games already. So, some questions in the 7 respective divisions lingering, and we got some answers in week 4. And you started off with the marquee matchup, which was number 1 Red Bank Catholic against number 3 Donovan Catholic. A 14-7 RBC win. Truly a game that RBC dominated, but just couldn't find the end zone when they had opportunities. They had some fumbles. Donovan hung around, and all of a sudden a blocked field goal goes 80 yards the other way for a touchdown, and it's 14-7. But the Casey's defense has really been their biggest constant all season. Having a first-string defense hasn't had a touchdown all year in 5 games, and they came through with some big stops, and the Casey's hung on for the 14-7 win. So they're firmly in control there in that American division. And then you go on down the list, Point Borough really asserting itself with an impressive win over Raritan, 39-0. Still have some more challengers in that division down the line, but they look to be the big favorite in that Independence division. Ocean, same thing, big win, almost identical, 39-0 over Toms River South, and they're in control in that Freedom division. And same thing, Shore Regional all the way down to Patriots. Just teams, it was kind of a weekend of separation, and we had a lot of that.
Yeah, that RBC Donovan game was probably just the opposite of last year's game, where Donovan jumped on RBC for 2 quick scores and held on in the torrential rain. And this year it was just the opposite. RBC had the 2 quick scores, and Donovan just couldn't catch them.
Yeah, RBC came out, and those first 2 drives, put in 2 touchdowns right away. And, give credit to Donovan's defense. They settled down, really played well. But RBC moved the ball. They had some turnovers. And to be honest, it wasn't a very clean game by either team. Both teams fumbled 3 times and lost 2 of them each. RBC had a snap go over the punter's head. So some things to clean up. Certainly it wasn't their best game, but I think the fact that they were able to find a way to win the game and do it with defense. Donovan scored on the blocked field goal return for 80 yards by Michael Thomas III, but offensively they never really threatened. They had just about 80 yards of total offense, and that's a credit to that Red Bank Catholic defense. We know about the talent on offense, and let's face it, the offense is always going to get more of the headlines for any team, but that defense has been absolutely excellent so far.
Sabino Portella, Bob, untouchable.
He had a great game. 180 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, but he lost a couple fumbles. He had an interception that he could have had at the end that he didn't get, but look, all's well that ends well. Talked to him after the game, and he said, yeah, of course he'd like to have those back, but he did run for almost 200 yards, so he had a pretty good game and also played well on defense. So, yeah, he's one of the best players in the Shore on both sides of the field. I think that's pretty well known at this point.
We can also dispel any rumors that there is a Varsity Link Coaches Corner jinx, that when you appear on this show, the next weekend you go down the tubes. Ocean was on last week, right? When we were at MJ's, and they won 39-0. So,
I think we're pretty good so far, right? We go back to the open one. Manalapan won.
Yeah. No, Manalapan lost to Middletown South.
That's right, because they had already played those two. The calendar. They had already played 2 games before that.
That's right.
Very true. But you're right. There is no jinx.
There is no jinx. So the Mariners should feel pretty good about tonight. As we always do, we like to look at the Jeep Store Top 10, brought to you by the Jeep Store in Ocean Township. Check out thejeepstore.com. And, of course, we always throw in this plug because we like relationships. In full disclosure, both Bob Batters and Ed Sarluca are driving vehicles they purchased from the Jeep Store. They tried to get them to give them the cars. That didn't work out too well. They said, well, we can give it to you. How much can you afford a month? So anyway, but really the top 5 in the top 10 is exactly what it was a week ago. No changes. Red Bank Catholic, Toms River North, Donovan Catholic, Point Borough, and Middletown South. Ocean moves from 8 to 6. Rumson breaks into the top 10. Nice to hear. Well, they were there in the beginning of the year. Got off to a slow start, but they won a couple in a row. St. John Vianney moves from 9 to 8 with their win over Manasquan. We have to talk about Manasquan a little bit. Colts Neck moves in at number 9 after beating Freehold Township, so they break into the rankings. And Middletown North breaks in at number 10 after their win over Southern. Manalapan, Marlboro, and Raritan, after losing this past weekend, drop out of the top 10. And as Bob calls, watch for Jackson Memorial, Matawan, Howell, and Shore. So that's what we have. Bob, I got to ask you the question. I mean, I know they've been without their starting quarterback, but Manasquan being what they are, it's just so un-Manasquan-like. Anything on Brett Patton? Do we think we'll see him at any point? And, is it more than just the quarterback?
Yes. Manasquan came into the season with 2 of the most dynamic players in the Shore, in Brett Patton, their senior quarterback, and Jameer Howard, their senior running back. So the offense, at least, is built around them. So they're a little bit green up front, breaking in some new linemen. Let's not forget they lost tremendous skill players on the outside, Cole Kozlowski and Robert Pendergast from last season. So that's their top 2 receivers. Also graduate a really important 2-way player in Patrick Woodford. So even though they brought back 2 great players, they still had a lot of holes to fill. Now without Patton, who played in the Point Borough game, hasn't played, and we don't have official word. Again, right. I say this every week. This isn't the NFL. We don't get the injury report, but Patton's been out the last couple weeks, and clearly they've struggled there. And that's to be expected. You're missing a dynamic player, to which that offense, as we know it, is that I formation, downhill running offense, and it's been tailored a little more to what Patton's skill set is. So now you don't have that in there. You're going to struggle. So, the Warriors at 0-3, certainly they'd like to get Patton back. Yeah. And he'd like to be on the field as well, but they're going to have to try to find a way to right the ship here soon.
You just assume that you're right in Manasquan, that they're going to win. In a bad year, they're going to be at 500 or a little above. In a good year, they're going to be very good. I guess you'd have to go back to check the last time they got off to an 0-3 start.
It's happened, again, it doesn't happen very often. It's happened somewhat recently. And look, they find a way to battle through these things like any high school football program has to. But to your point, it is surprising to see the Warriors off to an 0-3 start.
We would be remiss if we did not mention, because I think it's been a big subject in the Shore Conference this week, is the 2 major injuries suffered on the field last week. Marlboro quarterback A.J. Schwartz, and Marlboro's been a great story, suffered a severe we call it a leg injury.
Lower leg
injury, one that requires surgery, and, I'm told his recovery time is like 8 months. So
he's done for the year.
He's done for the year, and we certainly wish him well. And that's a big loss for that program, huge loss. And then, of course, you have St. John Vianney senior quarterback and defensive back Aaron Von Treese, who suffered a spinal injury on the field. A couple of people who were there told me it was just a horrific sight to see him. And what I wanted to talk about is, listen, every day I have somebody ask, what's the latest on him? Okay, so here's the deal. He's at Robert Wood Johnson. Again, like you said, they're not going to release information. The school is not going to release information. If anything happens, it would come from the family, through the doctors or whatever. So, we're just wishing him the best. He had surgery, pretty soon after the incident, and we certainly hope things turn in his favor. But what people can do, and anyone can do, and everyone in the Shore Conference can do, is help the efforts that has been launched. And there's two of them going on, right? There's a GoFundMe drive, which has already surpassed its goal, which is just awesome.
A little over 12 hours.
And and as you wrote today on shoresportsnetwork.com, this is one of those things, 42 schools, very competitive, teams that don't like each other, whatever. But when something like this happens, it's the Shore Conference football community that comes together. And the other thing people can do is there's an online store that has everything, right? I mean,
bunch of Aaron Van Treese 18 apparel, so the shirts, some hats. So all that's on shoresportsnetwork.com. You can go on there. It's right on our front page there, and click through that, and links are in there if you'd like to donate to the family through the GoFundMe link, or purchase a shirt with all proceeds going to the Van Treese family. So any way you can support, if you're looking for a way to support, just check out shoresportsnetwork.com. We have all the information there.
That's right.
And of course, we wish nothing but the best. We hope there's news that comes out, and it's good news that we can pass along to report. So, but in the meantime, look, we give the family their privacy, and we just send our thoughts, to Aaron, and hopefully he can get back on the road to recovery sooner than later.
Well put. And by the way, our friends at Varsity Link were very instrumental in the launching of the online store.
At Asylum Sports Center.
At Asylum Sports Center.
Owners Mike and Lucia Mozica and Jason Wamba, who assistant coach at Ocean. We had him on our first show. Runs a lot of the Varsity Link operations. He's the director of football operations over at Asylum, and he's been friends with St. John Van head coach Jeff Papson for a while. So they were able to quickly turn this around in a couple days and get it going. So, and as I wrote, it's just great to see the Shore Conference community come together in a time of need.
Could not agree more. By the way, all the gear is black and gold. The colors of the Lancers, and it's pretty cool. And again, that's what people can do. Real simple. Just go on shoresportsnetwork.com, read Bob's articles. It has the link to anything you could do. I thought it was really a nice touch, and it wasn't just we did it. We chose St. John Vianney as our Jersey Mike's team of the week because they're having a really good season, and they're doing well. And our Steve Meyer went up there to present them with the game ball, and when we honor a team of the week, they get $500 gift certificate, a gift card from Jersey Mike's. And Steve told us that the coach and some of the players were going up to see Aaron. They were going to present him with the game ball, and they're also donating the gift card to the family to help them, because you can imagine they're in circles running around. So just a nice touch, and it was our pleasure to honor them this week. And, of course, our thanks to Jersey Mike's, who's been a phenomenal partner for us.
And lastly on that, I mean, this is we cover the Shore Conference, for the news, the action aspect, everything. But to serve the community is great to be able to do and to help out and to, again, we didn't just give St. John Vianney a team of the week for nothing. They are 4-1 and had a big win, but anything that can help kind of lift up those kids in that program, glad to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Well said, gentlemen. Well said.
Yeah, not much more to add to that. No. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do what we usually do around this time. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk with the head coach of the Toms River North Mariners, the spunky Dave Oswitz. We'll do that right after this. You are watching the Varsity Link Coach's Corner on the Shore Sports Network. Sorry for the long break. We were trying to get Ed to give up his drink, but he wouldn't do it. Welcome back to the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. We are live here at the Office Lounge in Toms River, one of my favorite places for longer than I'd like to remember. I think I was here the first week they opened. And we're talking Toms River North football now. The Mariners are our feature on the spotlight tonight, off to a 5-0 start, as we just summed up before, ranked number 2 in the Shore Sports Network top 10, ranked in the state, and the highest scoring team in New Jersey through the first 5 weeks, averaging over 42 points a game, 216 points through 5 games. So we bring on the head coach, and that is our friend Dave Oswitz. Oz, thank you so much for coming down on a Wednesday night. Always good to see you and talk football.
No, thanks for having us. You guys do an awesome job every year, and it's a pleasure to be here.
You know, as I'm going to jump in first, I think about last year. You talk about the building blocks to a season. Last year, you lose 3 of your first 4 games. And I'm sure there were some people ready to write you off, and then you just got on a roll. I mean, got a roll, went all the way deep into the playoffs. Was that what set the stage for the good start this year?
You know, I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, we didn't plan for us to have that kind of season, obviously, you know. I do think the division that we were in and the way we were able to manage it, we came through it. My big fear last year was not to play those teams, was be injury-free, and we were. And while we were doing that, we were gaining valuable experience. And our kids actually were gaining confidence somehow out of those losses. The coaching staff was getting beat up, but they weren't. And we got stronger. And then, yeah, we got hot. The schedule came back to us a little bit. We won 2 big games when they gave us St. John Vianney, which was a great game. And then we beat Southern on the road, which was a real tough team. And, you know, for us to get in the playoffs, we had to win that game. And they had beat us up the year before, so that was a huge win. And I think we just got confident. And we were talented, but we were just inexperienced. And we didn't know how to win those games in crunch time. And we started to do that. And, you know, we got into the playoffs and we got hot and we started rolling and we took it from there. And, yeah, it's kind of led into our kids had a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum going into the offseason. Obviously, a lot of motivation, you know, losing the last play of the game in the state championship. That doesn't happen very often. I still haven't watched the game and I won't, you know, but some of our staff has and kids have. But it's great. It served as a motivator. It's kind of fueling us and there's some fire in our kids' belly and, you know, we're off to a good start.
And with that, you know, you bring back a boatload of starters, you know, almost your entire starting team, extremely talented, high expectations, certainly from, you know, the media and the fans, and I'm sure within as well. And then to start the season, it's Washington Township, you know, in a neutral site, but down in Ocean City, you know, which ended up being a great game. And then Rumson right after that in week 1, certainly traditional power. And you come out of that 2-0, and since then you guys have, you know, outscored your opponents 148-7. But coming in with those 2 tough opponents right away, what do you think that did for the team?
It was difficult. You know, when the schedule, the way it laid out, you know, I was concerned once so the way it all happened was after the season was over, I got a call. And actually, we wanted to be in the Battle of the Beach. Mm-hmm. So we applied to be in that. They assigned us Washington Township, which, in my opinion, was the best team in our bracket last year. They got upset, but they were loaded with talent. And they brought some guys back, and I was like, all right, that's a great start. It's a great litmus test for us. And then, you know, Rumson's been the best team in the Shore over the last decade. And, you know, they reload every year. And so you're not expecting anything but a top 2-3 team, which they're a good football team. They still are. And so when we got them to go up, and that was a home game when they brought us to go up to Rutgers, I was like, man, that's 2 tough games to start, neither at home and in 2 showcase games, and we're going to find out what we're all about. And we didn't play real sharp in either game. We've played a lot better since, but we found a way to win, and I think that was the most important thing, and our kids have grown, you know, I think, for both those experiences.
Dave, one of those kids you talked about progressing from last year to this year has been your quarterback / running back, you know. I think he's a running back.
Most people do.
Although he can throw the ball pretty good. But he's progressed to be a top-flight quarterback in this Shore.
Yeah, he fits our offense. You know, we're a power spread, and when you look at the power spread, you know, from the collegiate level down, that's really where you see it. those guys are run-first guys, and they have the ability to throw it and keep pressure points on the perimeter. And Mike has developed, beyond our expectations in that position. We've had some real good ones here at North. We've been fortunate, with Mike Husney and Jake Kazanowski, two entirely different quarterbacks from each other and from Micah. But our offensive staff, does a fantastic job of really tailoring the offense to the abilities of the quarterback that's playing within the spread. And listen, all three of those guys are dynamic players in their own right, but they're all different. And our staff does a good job, getting the most out of all of them.
All right, so we in the media are pains in the neck, right? We are. You are 5-0. You are in the Colonial Division. And me would say, boy, wouldn't it be great if Toms River North this year was in the American Division? Because then we get to see a North Red Bank Catholic game. Are you okay being in the Colonial Division? Or be honest, would you rather be up one?
Well, I'd like to play Red Bank Catholic. I think our boys would for sure. But again, the way the Shore Conference does it, they don't take into consideration, and that's fine, what you got coming back. It's really based on what you've done in the prior years. And that's really why the year before we were in the American. We had won it in 19. 20 really didn't count, so they looked at the 19 year. But really our 20 team, which was a senior-laden team, lost most of our players. Last year's team was really a new team, talented but new. I didn't think last year we probably should have been down a division. This year we belong probably in the higher division based on what we got coming back and how hot we got and what we did in the playoff run. But listen, it's an imperfect system, but they do a great job. It's a lot of time and effort by the athletic directors, and I think they do a fantastic job. You're not going to please everybody. I have no argument. I'd like to probably play one. If we're in the Colonial, if I had a gripe, I'd like to have one Catholic school to get the multiplier. Because my biggest concern going through here right now, besides the teams that we're playing, is that the South Jersey teams, some of them have played two private schools, so like Cherokee, so they have an advantage on us when it comes time. We might be the team that maybe accomplished most during a regular season, but we might not be the overall number 1, 2, or 3. We could wind up being a 3 or 4 seed if we do what we want to do, which isn't guaranteed. So listen, there's a million different ways to look at it, but all we can do is control what we can control. You hear that from coaches, but it's true. So we're just worried about 1 week at a time, and the playoff system is what it is. The schedule system is what it is, and wherever we end up, all right, we got to beat the team that's put in front of us.
By the way, Dave, the two guys you brought here tonight, Ty Kazanowski and Micah Ford, just ordered about 16 tacos each. So make sure they run a little extra tomorrow.
The bathrooms might be busy.
Yeah. Your offense is electric. I mean, no doubt about it. And as you mentioned before, Jay Kazanowski, Mike Husney, you guys have had some amazing offenses in the past. But when you guys have been at your best, it's been because the defense is really, really good too. And I know you really weren't. You guys made some plays in that Washington Township game. I know you wanted some back in that Rumson game. But these next 3 weeks, and an opponent caliber comes into play, but these last 3 weeks, you guys have really played well on defense. So what have you seen throughout these last couple games, some of the changes?
Yeah, since really we started in the preseason right away, and we played some pretty good preseason teams, Point Borough, Donovan Catholic, nobody's really run the football on us at all. If they've hurt us, maybe they've hurt us on a big play in a passing game here or there. But no one's really been able to establish the run. And to me, if you're going to be a good defense, a championship defense, a defense that can take you deep into the the sections and into December, you have to be able to stop the run. I think Coach would probably agree with that. Yeah. We're forcing teams into 3rd and long, and you're not going to make a steady diet and a living on moving the ball through the air against our skill in the secondary. Against us, and so we feel real good about it. We think we're really stout against the run. We're athletic in the secondary. We run to the football really, really well. We're good sized, and we got a chip on our shoulder. Our kids play tough. You've been to so many games. We're physical. You can hear the game. You can hear us hit, hear us really finish our tackles, and I think that makes us a little unique.
Dave, if any scrimmage got you ready for the season, it happened to be the one that I saw, and that was the Point Borough scrimmage. I mean, 2 of the best teams in the Shore, as it's turned out, 2 top-flight offenses and defenses going at it. how many? 5, 6 fights in the scrimmage?
There was more than
about 5 or 6.
There was more than me and Coach Stout would have liked.
I was on the sideline or halfway on the field, and the referees came over and said, "What am I doing here? What am I doing?" Your kids were going at it. Neither team backed down. I think that got you ready for Washington Township, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think that our preseason helped us. Point Borough is a tough team, great program, outstanding coaching staff. They do a great job over there, and there was 2 Brahma Bulls going at it. It was fun to be in it, but. And I think scrimmage in Donovan Catholic was a good litmus test for us as well. They're big and physical, and that was another real good matchup. And we were ready to go, and that was the thing. We had to be ready because Washington Township. I really regard South Jersey public school football as the best in the state, right, in terms of public school ball. And Washington Township's a really good program, and they play a lot of really, really good programs down there as well. And I wanted to know what we had going into the season.
You have quite a few standouts, and we've mentioned Micah and Ty, and we'll have those guys on. Just a lot of talent. But I have to ask you about the offensive line because if it's not the biggest, it's certainly one of that I've ever seen in the Shore going left to right. When your smallest guy is your center, and he's like 6'1", 240, and is mean, that's pretty good. Just how about having that kind of personnel up front to not only fit what you do, but just no matter what offense you're running, when you're that big up front, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, I think, listen, rightfully so, our skill guys get a lot of the, media, attention, but our calling card is to be big, physical, and tough, and it starts on offense with that offensive line. What we were able to do against Rumson and really Washington Township and really every week, we're establishing a run, and we're not just getting 2-3 yards. We're gashing people for 6, 8, 10, and then as we wear them down, those runs become longer runs, long touchdown runs. So we're difficult, and then you load up against a run, we can throw it, and they pass pro pretty good as well.
Pretty rare to have 2 6'7", 300-pound tackles that are both underclassmen. Neither of those are seniors. Just how about that? It just not only is it big, it's talented. It's kind of crazy that a lot of these guys are young still.
Yeah, we are young and experienced, and we're fortunate. It's a convergence of talent at the right time, and we're just trying to take advantage of it if we can.
Are those 2 of your linemen back there?
Those are the 2 big tackles there.
Man, oh man, look at the size of those guys.
And they're sitting down, Kevin.
I'll tell you what, man, I'd like to see them at an all-you-can-eat buffet. That'd be a heck of a thing. Let's identify him at least.
It's Jalen Matthews there, and that's Justin K.
And those are your 2 tackles. In your center, you have Josh K.
And that's Josh. Yeah, sometimes I call Josh Justin and Justin Josh.
It happens.
I mix it up sometimes, but they're both.
I've called my kids the wrong name many times. I'm sure you have too. So, and then your guards, you have Nick Boyako.
And
correct?
Hatham Haraneh.
Pretty good group, huh?
Yep, not bad.
Not bad. Coach, you got tested in the first couple of weeks, and you've sort of coasted since. And I know it's 1 week at a time. The only thing, it's one game, Toms River South, Friday night. But looking at your schedule, if we were in college or the NFL, you'd be a heavy favorite the rest of the way. Are you the least concerned about not getting battle tested heading into the playoffs, which you've already said is going to be a grinder in South Jersey 5?
No. It's a different lead up from last year. It's going to be a little different. But no, this is a rivalry game against Toms River South. Our kids know what's at stake there. You kind of throw the records out the window. I know they've struggled a little bit, and we're coming in as heavy favorites, but our kids, the way they practice, the way we go about it, they have a laser focus about them. I don't really think that's going to affect us. And the division that we're in is tougher than people think it is. If you look at everybody else in that division, they're kind of, knocking each other off and everything. And listen, if we stay sharp and we're on our game, I like our chances against anybody. And that includes our division, and that would include anyone in the Shore Conference. But again, you have to go out and you have to go do your job and you got to execute. And it's really, Friday nights are about not who the best team was on paper or who's been the best team during the year. It's about who's the best that night. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in high school football, teams aren't the same. You get injuries, you get nicked up. We're not a real deep team. We couldn't suffer major injuries and be able to sustain ourselves. So you don't know. You don't know on a Friday night, and we're not looking past anything other than Toms River South Friday night.
And just to piggyback off that real quick, what does the North-South game mean? Civil War, all those things, obviously huge rivalry, and we have less rivalry games now just because of the way the divisions are. So I know you try to savor those, but specifically North versus South, you know the rivalry, quite well. What does that mean for your team?
Well, I mean, you growing up in Toms River, north-south, northeast, southeast, all those games are really, really big games, and they all mean something to the community at large and the side you're on. I grew up as a South kid, obviously, playing at South, and all my family played there, and, then I end up over here at North, and, there's some South people that I went to school with still not, a little salty that I'm at North, so it still exists. But, the bottom line is there'll be some pageantry. I think that's what makes the games great. The bands will be going. The fans will be rocking. The records really, it's better probably if both teams are undefeated, but it doesn't really matter. And probably the best game I was at this year was the East-South game. Yeah. The best atmosphere that I've been at, any of the games that I've been to, and that includes our own. I mean, that was an incredible atmosphere to be at. And, again, I'm hoping it's the same way Friday night.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a while now. I remember when you were young.
Oh, yeah.
10 years, right?
Yeah.
Here,
yeah.
You were at
Lakewood.
Before that.
I was at Lacey, and then I was at Lakewood, and I started my career at Toms River South as an assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long haul. Yeah, time's gone fast.
Football season. It used to be football season was September 1st through Thanksgiving. I'm going way back, of course. Back to Ed and I. The season has now become 12 months.
Right.
I mean, it's a 12-month program, and I wonder it's a drain on the family. You put a lot of things on the back burner because of the game of football. Have you given thought at this point in your life, like how much longer can I do this?
Yeah, I think we all do at some point. You start to think about it a little bit, but then you get out in the practice field because that's really where my sanctuary is for me. I mean, it's not Friday night for me. It's Monday through Thursday with the boys out there and your staff, and you're putting a game plan together, and you're trying to figure out a way to get your kids, in position to be able to beat somebody and enjoy themselves and experience that thrill of victory. And so as long as I have that, I'll keep it going. And at this point, I'm year to year.
Last one, because I'm sure we're probably up against the break. How special has it been to be able to coach your son Luca Jr., defensive back? I see he's getting on the field quite a bit, but that's got to be nice, father and son kind of going to work together every day, so to speak.
Yeah, the best part about I don't coach him, and I'll never coach him. I'm pretty hard on him, so I let everybody else coach him. But the best thing for me that's been really something, because we make sacrifices, so I've never coached any of my boys in any of their youth sports or anything like that. And my wife's she's an amazing woman. She's taken all the boys to practices and traveled with them. But for me as a dad to be able to get in the car with them, and just drive home and talk a little bit about practice or the game or what you think about that, that's been probably the most enjoying thing. Most enjoyment for me to get out of the relationship with my son and him being on the same team that I coach. That's really cool. That's really neat.
Dave Oswitz, another guy, by the way, I'm proclaiming on the all-interview team.
We got a lot.
He's
good. He's the head coach of the all-interview team.
He's on the all-interview team. He's always good and always shares his feelings with us. Coach, congratulations on I'd say good start. It's 5 games already, but congratulations on what's happened so far. Stay healthy, and we wish you nothing but luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Dave Oswitz, the Toms River North head coach. When we come back, Ty and Micah will join us, and we'll continue to talk with them. And, of course, we'll get some interesting thoughts as they get ready to play Toms River South on Friday night. You are watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. And welcome back to the Varsity Link Coaches Corner. We are at the Office Lounge in Toms River, featuring the Toms River North Mariners. Great to catch up with Coach Dave Oswitz, and the two best-looking guys in the room join us now on the at the head table, so to speak. Senior tight end linebacker Ty Kazanowski and senior quarterback and defensive back Micah Ford. Of course, you heard Coach talk about them a little bit, and we're delighted to have them with. And Ty, since you're the senior, Micah's a junior, I'm going to start with you. You have gotten off to a very good start defensively, but my most important question is, you've only caught one pass. Can't Micah throw the ball to you a little bit?
I mean, we got the plays in. There's definitely plays that go to me. I could catch the ball more, but why throw it if you could just run it down teams' throats?
Fair answer, right?
You have been blocking pretty well, so
Yeah.
how do you like that, being a big part of the run game as well?
I mean, I love it. Me and my own linemen together.
Good stuff. Michael, I talked to you at Media Day. I covered your first two games, so we chatted a bunch, but a great start, as we've mentioned throughout this broadcast. But this seems like this is what you guys expected to do, that you guys expected to come out and play well like this. Is that the case, just coming off last year and how well you performed and, given all the starters you guys brought back?
Well, anything could happen. So, we could get an injury and it could affect the outcome of the game. So, we just want to keep our head straight and not get too big of a head and don't look past anyone and just play our hardest every Friday night.
And that's the exact same thing you said to me when we talked back in August. And it's football cliche. Everyone says that, one game at a time. But why is that so important, especially for a team like you guys, that you guys have championship aspirations? Why is it so important to kind of focus on that next game only?
Because, like I said, anything could happen. So you just want to keep your head on straight. Don't look past, like I said, again, any team. And just play hard every snap. And if you play hard, you believe, work hard during the week. And positive outcomes will come at the end of Friday night.
Simple, but it works.
Let me give you a couple numbers here for those that are interested in that. Mike has carried the ball 83 times for 801 yards. That's pretty close to 10 yards a carry, and has already scored 11 touchdowns. He's also thrown for 391 yards and 4 touchdowns. And, by the way, on defense, 28 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and 1 interception. Those are gaudy stats. But not to be overlooked is Ty, who's got that one catch for 9 yards, and it was a beautiful catch. But he has really stood out on defense. 36 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 20 quarterback pressures as part of that Mariner defense. And a couple of weeks ago, he was our Player of the Week on the fan vote, and got a chance to go over and present that to him. So both these guys really, Bob, have just put up gaudy numbers early on.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking 2 all-shore players and 2 of quite a few on this Mariners team, and extremely talented. And I know you guys, it's like we're kind of saying the same thing over and over again, but you guys knew what you had coming back. You knew you had a chance to be really good. You knew you should be really good as long as you guys play up to your potential. So what does this start, Ty, told you guys, what has this start done for the team in terms of its confidence, its expectations, kind of just everything?
Well, we expect to go into every single Friday night. We expect to win. We think we should win. But going through these first couple of games, it is a confidence boost, but it's all in the past now. We had just had to work hard every week. We saw what happened last year. We went on a huge winning streak and then lost the last one.
Mm-hmm. How much has that been a driving force for you guys? And it seems obvious because anytime you lose your last game and lose it late like you guys did, it's going to leave a little bit of chip on your shoulder. But it really seems like that, from 1 through however many guys in your program, every guy, they're still pretty angry about it.
Yeah, like Coach Oz said, every day at practice we have a laser focus. We want to get stuff done. We want to get better every single day. And we want to win as much as we can. We are not comfortable with losing.
Micah, on some teams, you would be as big as a lot of the offensive linemen. On this team, you're dwarfed by that offensive line. Now, Coach talked about them, but how good is it for you to have those 5 plus Ty in front of you opening up holes?
It's amazing just to have a line that big and a line that works that hard during the week and just get the job done on Fridays. I have trouble seeing over the line sometimes, so maybe that's why I don't get tired of the ball that much. But they're amazing. You watch them play, you see them just lay the pound every snap.
In on the college or the pro level, it's not unusual at the end of the season the quarterback gives something to the offensive lineman. I was thinking, if you took these guys out to eat, there's no way you could afford it because they would break any of us in here.
Yeah, they're big guys. You got Jalen, he's like 6'7", and you have the other Justin, he's 6'7" too. Our smallest lineman, as you said, is 6'1". So yeah,
that is impressive. That is
crazy.
impressive.
And with those guys, they're big, they're physical, they're talented. It seems like in the games, it's not play 1, play 10, it's play 35, 40, 45, where you really start to see the effects of them just wearing a team down. How noticeable has that been? I know the last couple of games you guys really haven't played into the fourth quarter, but as the game goes on, can you get a sense that they have worn the other team's defensive line out and those holes are just getting that much bigger?
Yeah, just one thing about our offensive linemen, they have just the most heart. They have the most solid hearts you ever see, and them just them taking care of the blocking scheme, listening to coaches, is just amazing. Their way to just lay it out on the field and just leave it on the field is just amazing.
There are a lot of players on your team that are really good, and I love to mention, but it's only an hour show, so you can't get through all of them. We've talked about you guys, the line. You have 2 excellent wide receivers in Terry Council and Jeremiah Pruitt. I think one of the most underrated players in the Shore is in the backfield with you, and that's Josh Moore. I mean, he fits your offense really well. You're ripping off 100-yard games, but you watch him play, and you can give him the ball a bunch of times in a row and take some pressure off you, and he just seems to go out and perform. And he does the same thing on defense. So just how about him? I mean, that's your backfield mate, and he's a really good player.
Just a person that kid has developed to. I knew Josh, personally, since we were in first grade. We stuck together all throughout AYF days, so our chemistry's there. So just the knowledge, knowing if just give him the ball, he's going to produce the same outcome that I could possibly produce, So just having those 2 run threats in the backfield can also just scare teams, because they have to worry about not only him and also me in the backfield, and it's just,
And in that same vein, Ty, on the defensive side of the ball, along with yourself, linebacker, Cody Vandervliet, Anthony Rodriguez, those guys, it's like every time I get the stats from Coach Oz, early in the following week, those guys are up 8, 9, 10 tackles every week. So just how about some of those players that maybe to us are underrated because they're not getting the headlines, but you guys know are really important to what you do?
Well, our front 7, I work with them a lot. Mike is more with the secondary, and I think we all play together so well. When one person's out there, the other person's is. We're all doing our job every single play. So I think us being able to play as a unit has really projected our defense high.
Ty, you wear number 16. We would normally associate 16 with a quarterback's number. Were you a quarterback at one time?
Well, I didn't play football till really high school. I missed middle school. So 16, I went in. I tried to follow my brother's footsteps, be a quarterback, and that just didn't work out to me, but I kept the number.
Okay. Look, by the way, want to mention that your brother Jake is at Rensselaer Polytechnic, right? And has played and thrown touchdown passes. But more importantly, this Saturday gets a start.
Yeah, it's an exciting Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to watching it.
Friday night, you play Toms River South, and then Saturday he gets a start. That's a good weekend for the family.
Yeah, the parents are excited.
Yeah, I
Pretty
can
good.
imagine.
And Jake, a 2-time first-team All-Shore quarterback for us,
Yeah.
our Offensive Player of the Year as well. So always good to see the local stars, doing well at the next level.
I guess we have to ask the Ed questions, right? Isn't it kind of like a ritual?
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't.
Okay, so these are on behalf of our partner Ed, who likes to ask these questions every week. One of them is, do you do pasta parties at all?
Yeah, we have one every Thursday.
Okay. Who's the guy, if you get behind, there's a pretty good chance there won't be much left?
I'm gonna say
There's a lot of options, I feel like, for this answer.
you're not gonna expect this, but I'm gonna say our starting linebacker Anthony Rodriguez.
Really?
Yeah, he's a lot. He fills up 2 plates and brings him back, goes back for more.
Ty, you go along with that? Or do you have a nominee?
Well, I get to go at the front since I'm a senior now, so I really don't worry about anyone no more. I get my 2 plates and I'm all good.
That is the best answer. One of the best answers we've had
That's a
so
great
far.
answer.
I love
Great
it.
answer. All right, what else?
What's Ed's other ones? Oh,
Yeah,
you make a mistake, do something you're not supposed to, coming off the sideline. Like, who's the coach that you're going to probably try to avoid at least for a couple minutes, let him cool down?
The one to sit here.
It's Oz, isn't it? You said spunky. I was thinking fiery. Oz can be fiery.
Oh, Oz can be fiery. There's no doubt. I've seen that. Ty, you are a senior. Do you play any other sports?
I play baseball as well.
Okay, so you play baseball. Have you given thought at all yet to what you'd like to do in college?
I'm thinking about playing football in college, but I'm not 100% sure yet.
Any idea what level, or you're just going to wait and see what happens?
Honestly, I'm just going to see what I get and go from there.
Okay. Now, Micah, you are only a junior, but I think there are schools that have already shown an interest in your talents. Can I assume that you would be a running back on the college level, or maybe defense?
Yeah, there's colleges that look at me for running back, or there's some colleges that also look at me on the defense side of the ball.
You want to be a running back?
Yeah, I want to play. Personally, want to play running back in college.
Any schools you can share with us, or would you rather not at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
On that, you're obviously known as a quarterback more. You're a really good defensive player. Like, I enjoy watching you play defense. Do you enjoy playing defense? I mean, you're out there a lot. You're getting a ton of carries in some games and then playing both ways. But do you enjoy playing on the defensive side of the ball?
Freshman year, I didn't like defense too much, I'm not going to lie. But Coach Oz kindly just impacted that defensive mentality in my head. So just from like that point on, like my sophomore year to my junior year, it's just been a passion. I just played just like how I played the offensive side of the ball.
Is it hard to get him off the field? I imagine it is. It seems like it's hard to get you off the field.
Yeah, sometimes, we go out by a lot. He's saying sit out. I'm arguing. We're going back and forth on the sideline. So, yeah.
I love it.
Well, guys, we really appreciate you coming down tonight. I hope you enjoyed the tacos. And you certainly have enjoyed the start, the 5-0 start. You've gotten off. And I know you have, as Bob said, you have championship aspirations. So we'll just wish you good health and good luck the rest of the way, and we really appreciate you coming down tonight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for having us tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ty Kazanowski, Micah Ford from the Toms River North Mariners. We'll take a break, and then Ed will rejoin us right after this. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. And as they always say at this time, welcome back to the fourth quarter of this week's Varsity Link Coaches Corner here on the Shore Sports Network. Kevin Williams, Bob Batters, and Ed Sarluca. We, of course, want to thank our partners in crime here, Varsity Link, our friends at Varsity Link. And if you are, as we say every week, if you are a high school athlete, regardless of the sport you play, you need to download the Varsity Link app to your phone. It's a way for you to post things about yourself, your 40-yard time, all those things that schools might look for, and it's also a way for you to network with other athletes all around. So without question, if you are an athlete, you need to have the Varsity Link. It's free. It's in the places where you'd normally, the Google Store, the iPlay Store, iPhone, whatever, you know what I mean. Download it on your phone today and join the Varsity Link family. A few minutes left here for us as Ed has rejoined us and informed us that we didn't handle those offbeat questions as well.
He did not.
You know
He
which one we
proved it.
forgot?
Well,
we forgot the one about
Funny guy,
the
serious
funny
guy.
guy who cracks you up in a huddle. You know.
Yeah.
Serious Al and Funny Frank. We
Well,
forgot.
And you had the quarterback here too. I mean, he would have given you good insight.
Yeah, well.
Till next time.
Ed, nobody can replace you. Those are your
No.
things.
No, I have a feeling nobody argues with Micah when he's in the huddle there.
Yeah.
You know, I think he takes
That's what
charge.
you want. That's what you want from
That's
the QB.
exactly what you want.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bobby, taking a look at this weekend. This is an unusual weekend, right? They're all not basically non-division games.
Every single game is either a non-divisional game or a non-conference game. And, you look at the schedule, and it kind of wedged in there, and it does break up the division schedule. We started off no division games, then hit the division games for the first 4 weeks, and now a break in here. So I don't mind it because there's some different matchups. We mentioned the Civil War, Tom's River South, always a big one regardless of record, a rivalry game. One schedule change, the Manalapan at Freehold Borough game was moved from Saturday to Friday. We're supposed to get a lot of remnants from Hurricane Ian up here by the weekend. So, and Freehold Borough does not have lights, so they moved that Friday afternoon. So, right, Ed made the joke before, right after PE class, extra credit, you're playing outside linebacker for the game. But, and some rivalry games in there, Jackson Memorial, Jackson Liberty as well. And then going on down the line, just some interesting non-divisional games. Non-conference games are really where some heavyweight matchups. Donovan Catholic will play at MetLife Stadium versus St. Joe's Montvale. Donovan now ranked number 19 in the state. St. Joe's number 5. So again, that's going to be a tough matchup for a young but very talented Donovan team. And then RBC, another really big test at home at Camp Basie Field against Seton Hall Preps. That's number 3 in the state, RBC, number 10 in the state, Seton Hall. Big one for RBC there. And then going on down the line, just some interesting non-divisional matchups. Ocean Raritan, Howell, Wall, even Freehold Township, Brick Memorial. So this could be a week where our picks might not be that good.
Well, mine were terrible last week, so they can't get much worse. Boy, oh boy.
Real quick, I wanted to mention that Brick Memorial Neptune game last week that I was at.
Broke the scoreboard, right?
Memorial was down 20 points going into the last quarter, 41-21. They scored 27 unanswered, to win it. In overtime, and Connor Dietz, another huge game. We got to keep an eye on that kid for next year when he becomes a senior. He is an outstanding quarterback.
Keep an eye on him now.
Yeah, I know. But there's a lot of good quarterbacks around the shore. He's one of them.
And their sophomore running back, Kevin Andrews, over 100 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. He has really emerged as a big secondary option, something they really missed last year. It was Dietz did a lot of the heavy work on offense, and he's going to anyway just because of the way that offense is designed around your quarterback. Similar to Ocean's offense with Tyler Douglas we talked about last week, but Andrews coming in has really given them another spark plug, and big on kick returns too. He's returned a couple of them long ways and one for a touchdown, I believe, too.
Right, I only mentioned that because they're both 2-2, I believe, and so the winner of that becomes 3-2, and we'll give them a leapfrog, in playoff,
It is. This is a week where and we have some of the playoff stuff out. I know we're going to touch on that real quick. This is a big swing week for some of these teams. Not division implications, but playoff implications. You win this game, could set you up. You lose it, you're kind of behind the 8 ball going forward.
I did not think about the situation with Toms River North until Coach Oswitz mentioned it. By not playing any of the parochial schools, they get shortchanged on points that a lot of the schools in their division, South Jersey Group 5, which is a bear to begin with, they get those points. North could run the table and be a 4 seed.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. And you mentioned the teams in that bracket are playing. They have a game against St. Augustine. They have a game against Holy Spirit, perhaps. So it's and that's the schedule is never going to be equal. Again, this isn't the NFL. It's more similar to college football where it's strength of schedule, these things come into play. So it's, you try to do the best you can with what's in front of you and hope you're prepared enough.
One team that is a number 1 seed right now, well, Red Bank Catholic is right now.
In non-public B.
Right. If the season were to end right now, and we really don't have time.
And they are where they are the defending champion, we must mention.
That's correct. Right now, Toms River North is 2nd in South Jersey Group 5. That could change. Middletown South is number 1 in Group 4. Again, that would be largely based, I guess, on strength of schedule,
Their
right?
strength of schedule is, a quick glance, it is first by percentage points over Hamilton. You're right. I mean, look at, they've played Manalapan, Red Bank Catholic, Wall, and Long Branch. So, again, a good strength of schedule.
Like
for the
in
Eagles.
Group 3, you look at an undefeated team like Ocean. Right now, they're sitting 6, so they haven't gotten a lot of help on points. And then you have Rumson, who's 2-2, who's the number 1 seed in South Jersey Group 2.
Well, they don't
Right
pay
now.
the guy that figures this out.
Yeah.
With the OSI and the UPR,
forget it.
and the PowerPoints, they don't pay him enough because I think the computer does it, but I just can't figure out how they arrive at some of these things.
Well, and how about Point Burrows? 4-0, 5th in the United
Yeah.
Power ranking behind the Raritan team they
Yeah.
just beat. I mean, it all comes out in the wash, and this is only a guide now. When
Yes,
it's
exactly.
all is said and done, Point Burrows not going to be the 5 seed,
No.
but it just shows the unpredictability, I guess, of these PowerPoints when you're trying to figure out playoff positioning right now heading into Week 5.
Yep, and the playoffs start early. I mean, we're going to be with
First
week
week
in
in
November. November.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
Regular season ends the last weekend in October. And here we are sitting here. This is the last Wednesday of September. October 1st is this weekend. So, I mean,
There are 4 weeks of regular season football left for the public schools. The non-public schools can play that week. Now, the first round of the public school sectional tournament, the non-publics, pretty sure St. John Vianney, Ed Red Bank Catholic both have games that weekend. But 4 regular season weeks left.
I mean,
Again, I've said it many times. It's getting late early, as the great Yogi Berra would say. And it's getting chilly at night and game time, and it feels like football weather.
First round of the playoffs, October 28th and 29th. The seeding is
Halloween
the week
weekend.
before. So
Okay.
that's crazy.
It really
it's-
is.
But you know what? That's the difference this year. We are playing down
playing another
to true
round.
state champions for
Yeah.
the first time in state history. I know there's a lot of opinions both ways on that. I think it's a good thing, but in order to have that happen, you have to start early, which most people, even if they like the fact they're playing out the one state champion, it's weird to see games playing August 24th, 25th, and to have some teams playing 2 games before school even starts. So it's just the nature of it because we're not going to stretch the season that far into December.
Yeah, only I think December 4th is
That's
final
the last
game,
one, and
something like
that's
that.
really mostly of the non-public schools. So, yeah, look, it's a different landscape of high school football. We've talked about it a lot. You've written about that a bunch of times, talking about some of the division changes, but that's the landscape we're in right now.
Yeah,
I like it. I love it.
Yeah, you listen, it's the old line. You play who's on your schedule,
Yeah.
and that's what it comes down to. You can moan all you want about things. It's done. It's on paper. Go do it, and, make the best of it. I know there are some people who feel the playoffs go too far because it's only for the select perennial powers, and that may be true, but there's always that year that when somebody can sneak through and bust the door down, and it's as memorable as anything can be.
You want the opportunity.
That's
Not
it.
everyone's going to make it there. And the argument in football, we haven't played down to group champions ever. The non-publics do. The public schools have
Right.
it. And I know it's only for these certain teams. Well, we do it in every other sport. Why? It just made sense. It was the natural progression.
Let me
like
ask you
anything
this.
else, people are resistant to change. They'll get over it.
I know they've eliminated for this school year, like the Tournament of Champions in some of the
Yeah,
sports.
in all
but
the sports.
let me ask you this. How many times did St. John Vianney girls play in the TOC?
A lot.
It was like every year. I didn't hear too many people complain about that.
Yeah.
It's just the way it was.
And
so
there are people, and we're up against it, but there are people that are mad that some of the tournament champions are going away.
Absolutely.
In lacrosse. A real quick example, Rumson Fairhaven makes it to the TOC this past spring, loses. They want to get back and win that, and they're going to have a huge talented team coming back. They're not going to get that opportunity.
Yeah.
So change is
Change
it's
is
good,
inevitable,
it's
right?
tough, but it is inevitable.
Well, I'll tell you what's also inevitable, the clock. The clock strikes a certain time, and Steve Meyer says we're done.
We don't want that Nathaniel Hackett clock management.
So, yeah, so that means we're done. Now, next week, we will be at MJ's in Neptune, which is our other host location. Of course, keep it on the Shore Sports Network all season long. Bob does a phenomenal job. We'll have our football picks on Friday and all the fun that we like to share with you. Want to thank again Dave Oswitz, Ty Kazanowski, and Micah Ford from Tom's River North. We appreciate the Mariners supporters who came down to the office lounge tonight and had something to eat, and maybe even a dirty martini. But that'll do it for us. For my partner Ed Sarluka and Bob Batters, Tom Tremblay, who makes it all work, and Steve Meyer. You have a great evening, everyone. You have been watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network.